Athens is surrounded by mountains. And you have this very interesting and challenging situation that a very, very dense urban environment comes into direct contact with the environment at a very closed boundary condition, where most of the stresses between the natural environment and the urban environment happen. And this is what Athens is experiencing over the past few years. Actually, Athens brings water from hundreds of kilometers away. Summers are very warm, and there is in Athens very little green space. So this makes for a difficult, challenging situation. Quite a lot of the historic examples, even in recent years, of catastrophes, including large forest fires and significant floods in urban areas, are not, I would say, necessarily attributed to climate change. They are a combination of inefficiencies in design, urban planning, disaster risk resilience, decision-making. But I would say that with this at hand, we should, and in anticipation of even harsher stresses in the future, we really need to think about this concept of adaptation and this concept of resilience I was talking about. So rather than attempt to foresee everything, plan for the unknown. Think of it like an online map, an interactive, dynamic online map, which you can use to browse to a particular area. And the Hotspot Explorer allows you to identify the critical issues at each location, matched against the anticipated stresses from climate, so that you can prioritize the public discourse. You can prioritize policy for these hotspots to be able to have meaningful change on the ground. To really be able to identify hotspots, you need to account for two things. One is the stresses, and you can identify these working with Earth observation, hydroclimatic data, rainfall and temperature and so on at large scales from satellites. But you also need to account for local capacity for adaptation and local vulnerabilities. So things like socioeconomic status, employment, the elderly, population characteristics are very important for regions to be able to adapt to this stress. So this is what the Hotspot Explorer does. It matches the stresses from the climate to the vulnerabilities and adaptation capacity coming from society. The situation in Athens is not entirely unique to Greece, although given the size of the city, it makes for a difficult problem. But this interface, if you like, between dense urban environments, a fragile ecosystem under heavy climatic stresses, is something that is quite common in the Mediterranean. I think we have a very real opportunity within Impetus to combine policy initiatives from the government, and we are lucky to have the Ministry of Environment as a partner in this respect, with technological advances such as the ones that we are developing within the university and, of course, our partners at Impetus. And I think this interface between policy innovation on the one hand and technological innovation, hand in hand as it were, I think will make a difference. I certainly hope so.